It's not often I see a city building game with such an original idea, it stops me in my tracks. Picture this, you've got a friend who doesn't get city builders, maybe they find them too boring or whatever. But then comes this game that says, hey, what if your friend can handle all of the action, taking down enemies and helping you work as a team while cruising around on a giant mythical beast? Well, that's KingFish, a game that got my attention as well as many others out there because mainly it's such a fresh take on the genre. Think about it, it's a part action game, part city builder, all fun. So if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned as I'll be showcasing this upcoming game with one of the most unique concepts I've ever seen. So let's get into it. So for starters, KingFish is a two-player co-op city building game with a twist. One player is the king, who will be focusing on the combat. The other player is the fish, who will be focusing on the building side of things. And before you ask, yes, the fish is a giant living island, a leviathan. It's an ancient sea creature that also happens to be your city's foundation. In the game, you'll build your kingdom on its back as it swims through a monster-filled ocean. Now, if that setting of a city builder on top of a creature's back sounds familiar, well, we can't forget about games like The Wandering Village, The Ark of Charon, or the upcoming title Beyond the Stars. So yeah, the setting itself isn't that original, you can see where the inspirations came from, but that co-op gameplay sure is very unique, and I think that's why it's getting so much attention. I'm always looking for fresh and original ways to put a unique spin on the city building formula, and I think this is going to be the one. Like just the thought of having your friend defend your castle from waves of enemies while you're helping them out at the same time, but also producing buildings on the side to get more resources. It sounds like so much fun to me. And plus, it's asymmetrical, which is just a fancy way of saying your roles and responsibilities won't be a complete 50-50 split. So that means how each of you will experience the game is very different depending on the roles you've taken on. And so before we cover that, if you find yourself enjoying this video, consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribe so that you can find even more interesting games in the future. But back to the game, what exactly is going on with that story, because we need a bit of background. As you can probably tell, it's set in this fantasy world, but in this world it's basically just water, besides a few scattered islands here and there and some monsters cruising around on top. The story kicks off with a betrayal, with this young prince losing his father, but not before he tells him about this mythical beast. You now become the king and you find this ancient leviathan, and the two of you team up together to survive this world and take down this evil darkness that has plagued the land. You two will travel between islands, building as you move, fighting off whatever the ocean decides to throw at you. It seems to be giving strong mythical, almost fairy tale qualities to the game, which is very cool. So yeah, you and your friend will be playing as a king and a sea monster, aka the fish, trying to build something in a world that doesn't want you to. But how does that actually work? Well, moving on to the gameplay, this is where things get interesting. First up, one of you will be playing as the king, the one that's on the ground doing things that aren't very kingly. In this third-person isometric view, you'll be running around on the back of this giant living island, doing all the physical activities. Stuff like gathering resources, fighting enemies, and talking to villagers to help you out, and of course, defending your castle. Your attacks in the game look great, the standard hack and slash to take down an array of hostile enemies. But luckily, you're not alone because your partner is not just the city builder. But what will they be doing? Well, the fish will be getting this top-down strategic view on the city that building fans will be very used to. Essentially, this player will have the map spread out for them on the table, and they'll be in charge of the layout of the city, managing production, tracking what's being built, and just keeping an eye on incoming threats. Looking at the buildings themselves, you got a bunch of options like homes, carpentry, workshops, armory, a manufactory, which I think is a name they just made up, and a scale carver, which sounds pretty interesting. I also like the fact that the workshop can produce mold. Reminds me of my house I'm living in right now. Now, I must say I'm also enjoying the look and feel of the game. Its fantasy elements are strong throughout, from the UI to the buildings, which come with their own personal charm to them, not just those cookie cutters or reused assets I sometimes see. Also take note that the main building here is your castle, which you need to defend at all costs, because if that goes down, you lose the game. So going back to that co-op gameplay, the person in charge of the fish will also be helping the king out. They'll be dropping down healing buffs to keep the king alive, or other attacks from the sky to damage your enemies. To me, this is so important. It makes the game feel more cohesive, feels like teamwork is a very important part, instead of just doing things like sticking to your lanes, not knowing who's doing what. However, it's also not a complete 50-50 split down the middle in terms of roles and responsibilities. The fish will be most likely the one in charge of things, as they can easily see what's going on, how much resources they have, and just overall have a greater sense of strategy. On the other hand, the king will be more tactical. They'll be the partner or friend who just wants to smash things to a pulp. But also take note, they won't be alone, as they will have some help on the side. The game will be coming with NPCs called villagers, but they're not villagers in the traditional sense. Each of them will have their own perks, weapons, preferences, and basically act as the king's personal bodyguards. I'm very curious as how big of a role they'll actually play, because they'll be used for both defense and the village economy. In other words, they're not just generic little worker drones you place on a task and forget about. You can level them up, equip them, and develop them into either powerful fighters or skilled crafters depending on what your kingdom needs at any given moment. From what's been shown so far, the king also has some involvement into choosing which villagers will be joining in the first place. To me, this is very cool, as it adds in a layer of decision making around who you'll be bringing in, not just developing them once they're there. Like if those individual traits show up in meaningful ways during a run, this could be one of the ways to keep things fresh and interesting during each playthrough. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, I did mention the word run, and that's because yes, this is a roguelike, so players of Against the Storm will be jumping up and down for joy, but it might take some getting used to for fans of the standard city building experience. In the game, each run will be bringing in new maps, new mechanics, and new challenges. You and your partner will need to adapt to all of these changes to keep things going. I'll be honest, the Steam page is fairly light on the specifics on this roguelike gameplay, so I'm very curious to see more. For example, how different do the maps actually play? What kind of mechanics will shake up the loop? And yeah, a lot of this is unknown, but the bones of it are very interesting. To me though, I'm just very interested in the split screen gameplay. The trailer shows off gameplay side by side, but it's not mentioned in the Steam page itself, so hopefully we'll be able to have this feature, as it'll be quite a game changer for some. For me, I just want to be straight about something. KingFish is carrying a lot of ambition into one package, so I'm very optimistic but a little bit skeptical at the same time. A city builder, an action game, and a roguelike loop all barreled into one, all designed for two players, coming with completely different experiences. It's a lot. A question I have is whether both roles will end up having enough depth, or whether splitting the design across two distinct playstyles will leave each one a bit thin. We've seen just a taste of each of the gameplay styles, so it's going to be very interesting, say for example the building side of things, if it's going to just be more of a light supporting layer around the action rather than something more technical or complex. But hey, the game just got announced and the concept is solid. I like it a lot. There's no specific release date yet, but the current window is for sometime in 2027, which gives the team some time to develop it properly. It's also coming to PC as well as consoles, so city building fans that like to play it on a console will be very happy about this, as they don't often get any attention. The devs Fire Vault have also mentioned playtests are coming soon, so yeah, that will be your best chance to get some early hands-on gameplay. But what are your thoughts so far? Do you like the concept? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or maybe even subscribe to find more videos like this one. A big shout out to my channel members. Your support always means so much to me. But other than that, it's Marco here from Easily Distracted Games, and as always, don't stop gaming.